Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Before we begin, I want to thank Brownie's Diners for letting me record today's episode here. I also want to thank my sponsors, my homies from Los Pichos, Jake, Sergio, and Jonathan. Thank you guys for sponsoring the podcast. I also want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial and San Diego counties, make sure you contact David Gastelum, 760-235-9576. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience. All right, guys. Well, today we are here with returning guest.
My third time?
I think this is your fourth time.
Look at that.
But you have 5 episodes because one of them we did them in 2.
Okay.
So this is like your 5th episode, the 4th time on the podcast, Mr. Gil Rebollar. Thank you.
I love being here. I love being here. Yeah, my parents' restaurant. I love being on the show. I love talking. I love what you're doing. I just listened to Blanca and Javier's interview, and a lot of what she said I agreed about students, children, exercising, running around. I love what you're doing, man. I've learned from it. It helps to build, like I said, anything to build community and get to know people and understand, even if you don't agree, even if, whatever his content, even if there's beef, whatever, the fact that we should hear everyone out, and especially at a local level, because we need to build community. We need to bring us together, and that doesn't mean we're always gonna get along. The example is it's all about relationships, and you could just, if you're in a relationship, you're married, correct? Think about your relationship with your wife. You have your ups and downs. You have your really good times, or things that are just hitting. They have really bad times where you're going to argue, you're going to fight, you're going to say things you wish you hadn't. You're going to regret maybe certain even actions. You're going to argue. But at the end of the day, you understand you're on the same team, and you have a singular goal, And so I think in regards to building community in the valley, it's building relationships to understand that we're all part of the valley. We all want all of us, the whole valley, to succeed. And it's going to take building relationships. It's going to take having uncomfortable conversations. It's going to take, being critical at times. But it's through those moments of being uncomfortable. It's through those moments of toughness, of grit, where growth happens. And so I think that approach I've been taking, and a lot in this new role as a school board member is that, we're cool, but there's going to be times where you're going to have to call me out. I'm going to have to call you out. But let's have the understanding that we all want the best for our schools. And so it's been good. It's been, like I said, I got elected November, got sworn in December. But even we went dark Christmas break, so we go dark in December. So January, when I first had my first meeting. So 8 months. I'm 8 months into this this seat. It's been a huge learning experience.
For some reason, it seems like it's been like longer than...
I feel like I've been, I think because I've been, I think for the past few years, I've been engaged, and it might not have been in the educational aspect of things, but I've been engaged in the community, and the schools are a big part of, are the key to a community, I think. And it's been less than a year, but it's been good. It's been like I said. I let's be real. I entered into this seat not knowing much about education, other than my claim to it was that I'm a Brawley resident. My daughter is in the schools, and that's it. In regards to ed code, policies, programs, I'm still learning. I didn't know. I knew nothing, and I know just a little bit more than nothing. So. Going back to supporting building relationships with my administrators, teachers, custodial staff, clerical staff, because they know more than I do. I'm only there, twice a month for a meeting. I go more than that, but I'm only required to go twice a month to a school meeting site. Technically, I don't even have to go. I really don't. If you break it down, I don't even have to step onto a campus once. If I want to just do the bare minimum. All of them at our schools, and I try to be there as much as I can. So they know. So that's why it's important for me to build these relationships. I have to rely on them for getting the correct and right information on what the needs are, and then build that relationship. They trust that I'll support it. If I, I'll bat for anyone, whether you like me or not, whatever our relations been in the past. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and I'll fight and go to bat for anyone who I feel doesn't get a fair shake.
And talking to Jared a couple of weeks ago, and to me, like, that guy's like a good example of how we should be, because he's not even from the valley, and that guy does so much for the downtown area and Central. And he says that people here in the valley like hold grudges really, really.
Yeah, it's I think because the valley I don't know if it's hold grudges, and it really comes from some of these people at the top. It comes from these prominent officials. I think it more has to do with ego. At the end of the day, I think that's what separates my board from others I've seen. Listen, I've had a great school board. They've welcomed me. They've been open to me. And what separates it is the lack of ego, that they're all there to really give back and I think you see that a lot of majority of school boards. School boards, they don't get a stipend anywhere near a city council or IID or a county. They get health insurance, but chances are if you're running for school board, you probably already have health insurance. I think in a lot of these positions, you're learning how to do ed code. You're learning a completely different aspect that's not really.
It's not something that.
It's not like a city. You can it's ed code. You have to really be in the school to understand it. And you work with several unions, one of which happens to be one of the strongest in the state, the teachers union. So you're really having it's a lot of work. And so I think when you see these school boards, it's people who really want to give back. Where some of there's other elected boards, more of the prominent ones, right? It gets me kind of upset that school boards always seem kind of below city councils, when I think they're just as important, if not more so. I think if you want to change a community, you start with the schools, plain and simple. Tell me how else. If you're in a city, where else would you start? Why you should start at your schools? Those are the building blocks of a city, of a community. And so it's and I've changed. I think before I didn't see that aspect. Now that I'm in here, I kind of realize, not just because I'm on here and I want to feel important. No, say tomorrow I'm no longer on the school board, I still feel the same. To change a community means changing your schools. The better your schools are, the better your city is. And so I think, but I think going back to some of these other prime boards where you see egos, and I've seen it because I've criticized people. I've called them out and they get so upset. Like, I'm not even criticizing you personally. I'm just calling out maybe a policy or decision you made. Yeah. But I'm not making it I'm not, recently I made a post about, saying some of our elected officials need to take responsibility and just simply resign. I didn't say any names. And yet I got people telling me, so-and-so's upset with you. Like, wow, what a guilty conscience, right? And I think I still stand by that. I think, listen, I say that because now that I'm in here, it takes a lot of work. Like, if you're on an elected board and you really want to make a difference, it's a lot of work. I'm tired right now, bro. Like eyes are tired. I'm talking slow. I am exhausted because it is a lot of work. And obviously, most people have, family, health, work, and then extra duties, which include. So if these are compromised, your health or your family or legal issues, and it takes a lot of chunk of your time, it's not giving you a proper enough time to devote to your extracurricular activities. So when I call it on people to resign when they're having these issues out in their personal life, it's because I know it's not going to allow them to focus on that aspect of their life. And I know that because I've been in tons of trouble I've been in tons of trouble, and I know what it's like to go through some issues. And I know what worked for me, and it worked for many people, is to unplug, step away, and focus on the things that matter. Like I said, I was 21 when I got arrested and went to rehab, and it took me stepping away from my pregnant girlfriend, from my family, from school, to just say I need to focus on myself and get better. And that's what I did. And then most people I talk to do that. You can't change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You know, if you have a personal issue, how do you expect to continue doing the same things and not and expect something to change?
Yeah.
So when I call on these officials to resign, it's because it's kind of there for their sake. Focus on yourself. Focus on you don't need to worry about this stuff. Focus on the point.
Is it because is it the person?
I don't know if it's entitlement, it's ego.
But is it the person I'm thinking?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which one?
Yeah.
And going back to, there's a handful of officials right now going through things that you can pick and choose.
Yeah.
Think about it. We got DUIs, we got animal abuses, we got residency, we got sexual harassment. There's a lot, man, going on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make the valley look good. And it just, and it's a trickle effect. I think what you saw, so like in 2012, Anthony Sanchez IID abused his kid. And I hate to say abused his stepson and resigned. I condemn. What he did to his child I don't agree with. But the fact that he just said, I'm going to resign and focus, you got to kind of respect that. Yeah. Although it sounds weird. I'm not trying to defend him. But right, he said, hey, I got these issues. I got to this is more important to me than these duties that no one forces you to run. Yeah. No one forces you to be on a board. You choose it. And I think what you've seen is in the past few years is one person, makes wrong decisions, and rather than taking accountability, they say, no, I'm going to fight this and I deserve this and I want it and blah, blah, blah. And so then the next time someone else, makes bad decisions, they say, well, they didn't resign. Why should I? And so it's this trickle effect of just people not taking responsibility and accountability. And so I think that's what happens. And like I said, who am I talking about? If you think I'm talking about you, I am. So there you go. You're guilty conscious. That could be many people. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's what we've seen recently. And I've been going back throughout the years to trying to put a timeline of this valley of how we got to where we are at now. And you've seen the valley is a very trusting, welcoming place. But what you've seen in the past since 2008 is people really taking advantage and exploiting this trustingness of the valley, where we've had superintendents, public agency CEOs, public officials, be accused, be guilty of fraud, of mismanagement, of unethical behaviors, and it's just it continues to happen. We continue to be exploited, and it shouldn't. So when you see some of the numbers we have of our poverty, of our unemployment, and our officials not doing enough, it kind of makes sense. And I think right now, I'd like to see people get more engaged. I think right now is the time to step up for people to run for something. And there is power on being on a board. There is, and I can tell you there is. And so people are like, it doesn't matter. It does matter. I can tell you, there's things that we as a board have implemented because of one board member's comments or drive to implement something. So there's power. Yeah. But going back to the valley, where we're at now, in a sense that what you've seen is irresponsible elected officials going back to them making wrong decisions and not resigning, not taking accountability, coupled with the fact of ineffective public officials. I think at one point when things were good, you could do the minimum, the minimum, and things were right. But I don't think we're at a point right now where our elected officials should be doing the minimum. Yeah. We should be bold. We should be out there. We should be engaging. We should be working extremely hard for the community, and we're not seeing that. So when you see ineffective officials plus irresponsible officials, what you're left with is communities that are frustrated and hopeless, where people are like, oh, why bother? Yeah. That's just the way it is. It doesn't help anyone. We were just talking about Bernie Sanders earlier, and he said, for the first time you're seeing life expectancy in rural areas decline, and kind of like that defeatist attitude of just why bother. And so when our elected officials and our public officials are not trying, or not being bold, not doing what is needed, you're gonna get a community that feels the same. And so, I'm trying to get people to run, get people engaged. Right now is the time. I think I've proven that you can get. You need minimal. You don't need money to run. You don't need. I ran off less than $2,000. I didn't advertise the newspaper, no radio ads. I didn't even buy any sponsored Facebook ads. It was all organic, community events. So the game is changing, and I'd like to see a wave of new people coming in. Whether they, just competition is good. Mm-hmm. And I don't want any of these elected officials to feel entitled for their seats. I'm the incumbent. Oh, I'm going to win. I'm the incumbent. No, you should work. Yeah. You should prove to the people why they should vote for you, why you're their voice, why you represent them, why you make decisions on behalf of them. So yeah, I think in Brawley, one example is the fact that we still talk about Brawley in terms of East and West Side. It's been like that for decades. So I think that shows how much work we need to do and how much some of our leaders have not accomplished. Really, it's my grandma and grandpa would tell you East and West Side of Brawley. That was 50 years ago. And we're still having the same conversation. And I'm the same way. I'm guilty of not acknowledging or even ignoring the East Side. But now that I'm an elected official and I have school sites on the East Side, I have to do my part. And so that's why I've been having the popsicles and pages over there to just acknowledge. Sometimes they're not even asking to solve the problem. They're just people are asking to feel listened to feel acknowledged.
To feel part
of a community. And that's what it goes back to. And so the popsicles and pages was just a start, and I think it's the little things that build a community. I think a lot of times people want to have this blanket solution. We're going to implement this policy and it's going to change everything. No, it's these little things that show that can build a community, that bring out people, that empower people. And so that's what I'm all about, man. It's work.
Yeah, and I mean when you make people feel part of the community, they take ownership and they take care of their city, their neighborhood.
I think when you look at this data, I think more people feel alone, more lonely than ever. How? Yeah, and I think the quote I heard was, "We're alone together, alone, or alone together." And that's, you can have a room full of people, but we're all alone on our phones. We're all alone in our own. No, and more than ever, we need to have engagement. We need to be proactive. We need to be reaching out to the community because more and more people are becoming isolated. And that's not good. That's not, we see these, I see these, I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't comment anymore. I don't know if you've noticed that. I don't engage. I'll post stuff, but I step away from the comments. Yeah. And most of the time, they'll reach, if someone comments something that's like, catches my eye, I'll shoot them a message. Let's meet up. Let's talk. I'm not going to get no back and forth with you on social media. We're going to talk. We're going to meet up. And I wish we can see more of that. I think that social media, Facebook, it can be a good tool, but it can also be a weapon. And listen, I'm someone who's always on it, but I'm aware of that. I'm becoming more aware of that. But this engagement, face to face, building relationships, helps battle this loneliness problem that we seem to have.
Yeah, and because of the podcast, I think that I've kind of like seen that. Like, I've enjoyed like having all these conversations with, especially people that I just met that one time that we recorded, and it's it's a different because I've met these people online, but once like today that I finally met Billy.
Oh, Billy!
We've talked on Instagram or whatnot, and now that I meet him, like it's a different feeling. Like when you're talking face to face, like you get sometimes you can misunderstand like a message. It can be read differently than what it said. So yeah, I mean having face to face conversation really. I don't know.
It's almost you can't describe it, but it has impact, and that's the thing. You can't record it, you can't measure it, but it's there. and that's kind of what community is. There's no secret recipe for building a community. It just means being out there, being engaged, and you're not going to measure that, but you can feel it.
It's like I interviewed Chalo, the police chief in Calexico. And
I've been wanting to listen to that one. I haven't though, because I keep telling myself when I listen to it, I want to listen to it like all at once. I don't. Most of the time, like the Blanca and Javier one was like in spurts, but Chala, I want to like, no, I gotta listen.
Yeah, it was like an hour and 10, so it's kind of a long one. But I mean, one thing that he's trying to do is, meet with the community, have the police officers come to, because they adopted the park. What's it called? Forgot the name of the park. It's one of the newer parks in Calexico, and it was named after a police officer that passed away.
Fernando? No.
No. He was like a year older than me. I forget his name. Well, they adopted that park, so they want to do events where they come out to the community,
especially right now. Law enforcement, and some of these media headlines can be really mischaracterized, but that's a tough job.
And I mean, especially in Calexico, we had that FBI raid and people got fired and whatnot. So like the community did feel a little bit didn't have that same trust that they had a while back. So I think it's important for them to like meet, because they have a really young squad. Like they have really young cops,
and it's important. Like today, I had the school supply drive, and I also brought in the coffee with the cops to help that. And I was talking to one officer, and we were just talking about what are the issues, and then he goes, "And I heard you've been pretty critical of us." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "I haven't been critical of you guys. I've been critical of the city council and the city manager, but I hope that's not." Like taking it as and he's like, well, that's what I heard. And I was like, well, like I'm here, like let's talk about it right now, and be able to build that relationship. And even I said like, and maybe I could, if I was critical at you, understand that we're on the same time. We're both Brawley residents. We're both, got a scam call on you right there. We're both Brawley residents. We both want the best for Brawley. So let's, and so he's like, yeah, it's conversations are where it starts. And so it's good. It was a good thing to build upon.
And even, somebody commented on when I interviewed, Chalo, Michael DC. I don't even know who that guy is, but
never met him, but, no, I like it. I appreciate his, honesty and his, rawness of his comments.
Yeah, and he put a comment like, oh, you know what? I didn't even want to listen to this. I don't like Calexico cops, but after I listened, he kind of convinced me of the things he's doing. Hopefully he follows through on these things. And Chalo's like, you know what? Tell a guy that I want to meet with them. Let's meet up. You, me, and him talk.
Me too. I gotta know who Michael DC is.
Yeah, I was like, who is this guy? He's like, yeah, I'll think about it. He hasn't replied yet, but he hasn't said yes or no. But
you see, and that's the thing, man. We have to be willing to listen. Like there's some people that can't stand me, and I have to be honest, I probably can't stand them either. But if they ever want to sit down, and I've reached out to people, because that's where it starts. There's not, what's the worst thing that can come from sitting down and talking to someone in a civil manner? Not even a civil manner. Yell at me, cuss me out. I'll still sit here and take it. Like we shouldn't be afraid of discussion and
owning, like, if I've messed up, like, sorry, and then sometimes is the reason you might hate somebody is because so and so told you this which wasn't really true, or there was no content, so like a lot of times it's misunderstandings that really
third party, like going back to the today with the police officer. He heard that I was critical. I was like, well, you heard. Well, I'm here. And so that's where it comes from, right? Sitting down and be able to, hash out differences, hear each other out. Even if it goes beyond just not even hearing each other out, just humanizing someone, understanding like, oh, hey, they're a parent just like me. Oh, hey, they're a resident just like me. Oh, hey, we're the same.
I was watching this. I don't know if I should say the name of the show because I was watching Queer Eye, don't know if you've seen that program, Queer Eye, on Netflix.
We're in 2019. That's okay to say.
No, just because it's like a like no. I'm just saying because it's like a, I don't know, maybe like a girly show.
Nothing wrong with that. No.
And this one episode,
I wear pink pants and I have baby blue pants, man. I know style. I'm gonna watch that show just for the style.
Dude, it's really awesome. So it was this episode was about this guy who was in a wheelchair because he got shot, and because every guy has a different, specialty, right? The guy that's into fashion, the one that's into DIY stuff. So the guy that's like into culture and kind of like psychologist, he brought the guy who shot him, and they had this talk. And he's like, you know what, man, like I have no anger towards you. I actually thank you because being in this chair has empowered me to become this other man that I wasn't, because he was a gang member before. So when he got shot and he started doing the wheelchair thing, he started this nonprofit for for like inclusive, like make sure that places have like ramps for people with wheelchairs and stuff like that. So I thought it was really amazing that the guy was like willing to meet him, number one, and then when they were having this conversation, he's like, you know what, dude, like it was like, I was like, wow, like if somebody would have shot me, I'd be like, fuck you, like. But this guy was like, I was like, man, how can you like be okay with this guy that put you in a wheelchair? And they even the guy that shot him was like, yeah, I'm out of prison, and I'm trying to start like a program for kids to stay out of the streets, and then they were gonna collab and do something. So like, just sometimes like all we need is to
reach out, to reach out and sit down. I mean, that's what that's what's gonna change a place, right? Is that willingness to just sit down and hear someone out. Just hear them out. It costs nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. One thing I heard recently was kind of off topic. I don't know if you're still talking about that. Is that Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West? He said today we don't want people to aspire to be great. No one. We want them to aspire to be successful. That's not great. Mm-hmm. And what's successful now, and I've heard it countless times, go to school, get a job with benefits, work it, retire.
Yeah.
That's success. That's not being great, or successful. Make money. No one remembers the richest man of 1967, but you know what they remember from 1967? Martin Luther King Jr. Why? He aspired to be great. Mm-hmm. And so empowering people to feel like they can do great things. That doesn't mean being successful. That doesn't mean making money, but it means simply listening out, hearing someone. It means giving back to your community. It means engaging. It means connecting. It means networking. It means building a coalition, building a movement. Those are things that are great. And I think we need to start moving towards that, of wanting kids to be great, wanting adults, parents, residents to do great things. That's not saying make America great again. No, this is from Dr. Cornel West, a philosopher and it makes sense. I think we inspire too many people to not take risks. Risks is scary. But hey, you got to put yourself out there if you want to get a greater reward, and
I mean, like going back to Martin Luther King, the things he was doing in that time, was dangerous, and at the end of the day, it proved, to be.
Yeah, he said Martin Luther King died with zero money in his bank account. He just gave it all. He gave everything to his community. He gave everything to the movement. And that's what it takes sometimes to be great. Give it all. Mm-hmm. Put yourself out there. Walk away. Just being able to just go home and be like, whew,
But I feel that nowadays, like, it's like, how many likes do I get because if I do this or.
Well, yeah, that's greatness, right? Being viral is great now.
Yeah.
Being an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not great. That's just popular. Greatness does not mean being popular. Martin Luther King wasn't popular among a large amount of people, but what he was doing was great. And so, there's a lot of good things. This one interview where
he was on Joe Rogan as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. And one thing he also said was, I think in the valley, it pertains that the system is so rotted to the core that if you try to conform to it, you end up exactly like them, soulless. So I think going back to irresponsible and ineffective officials, if you try to play the rules by the games, if you try to play the game by the rules they've established,
at the end of the day, you're
going to end up just like them. So you break the rules. But that doesn't mean break the law, but change it up. Hold an event. Hold a town hall. I don't know if I was telling you about, there's an official who, I won't say their name because I don't want to, but he said, they're like, oh yeah, I want to have a town hall, but the mayor said no, and the city manager said no, that it should be held by the mayor, and it should go through the city. Mm-hmm. And I go, who do you work for? The mayor and the city manager, or the people? Yeah. If you want to have an event to hear out your people, your residents, hold it. Don't have to. What harm are you doing if you? Oh, so you don't go through the mayor to listen to the people? Who's harmed by that? Oh, the mayor, but who benefits from that? Oh, the people. Mm. So do it. And so it goes back to, don't play by the rules. There's rules. Don't get me wrong. Don't just go in. Boom, boom, boom.
Don't go by their rules.
It's okay to bend a rule, break. Mm-hmm. And that's not saying break the law or do anything unethical. It just means that, hey, do what's best for the people. Yeah. If you want to hold a city town hall, hold it. If you want to hear your people out, go out there.
Going back to getting people to run. I remember when Mandis was in city council, and I asked him, "What do you think? Should I run? Do you think I'll do an impact?" And it's like, honestly, dude, I feel like it's so bad that it won't matter who.
Well, that's Calexico. No, Calexico's an exciting place. Calexico's a different place. I don't think that should be the barometer how elected bodies are. But no, there's power, and there's power in being on a board. It really is. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it does take 3 votes, but you have the authority. You have the power to bring up an item for discussion. And if you can get 2 votes and implement it, okay. Mm-hmm. Now the hard part is crafting it into policy. I think with Mandy's is I think he had the right mindset and the right intentions, but understanding policy is very difficult. And I've had trouble with that as well. And it's also a city with the schools. It's you get little pockets. Schools are, where the city. I guess going back to how do we improve the city, right? That's tough. But I think too with it's. If you're on a board, you want to make an impact, pick your strength and focus on that. I think Manny is like they want to fix it all. Like how do you fix? And it's kind of what's my strength is community and engagement. I believe, right? Communication. And so how can I do that? How can I hold an event? How can I go out there? That's my strength. Budget. Oh, I'm lost on that. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I know that's not my strength. But I'm learning, and so I think. If you want to run, what is your strength? There's kind of pillars to the valley, right? Economy, community, education, so what do you care? What do their economy, jobs? You want to focus on jobs? Okay, then how? Education? Okay, then how? Environment? Obviously, there's a lot of issues. Community? Okay, engagement. Which pillar is your strength? And focus on that, and that's how you can make the biggest impact. If you want to try just as it comes, I'm just going to sit there and as it comes. No, what's your plan? What's your and how and what's your strength and build upon that. Don't try to just. So no, I think there's power, there's influence and authority being on a board, but it takes understanding the process. It takes understanding the game, the rules, and how you could play it to get what you feel needs to be done.
Do you think that, remember when Angel and Manny and
Hector and Tony,
do you think that that's like a smart way and a fair way to do it? Like to say like, we're going to create this group?
Yeah, there's strength in numbers. And I I like that idea, and I've actually talked to Angel about bringing something maybe county-wide. I don't know if I know he's got some of his things going on now, so I don't know if he'd commit to that or do it, but I mean, going back to also Angel laid a lot of the groundwork for a lot of these young people to be involved. Angel's been super influential. I don't know if he knows how influential he's been in regards not just Calexico politics, but just valley-wide. But yeah, I believe there's strength in numbers. And going back to, you see like the squad, right? And then going around, getting, leading the conversation on things. Imagine if locally we had something like that, a squad of people but bringing to light these issues and how are we addressing it, and being bold and not being afraid. I think we could get a lot of movement. I'd like to see that. I'd love to be part of something like that. I've been trying to meet with people to build a network. To build, like I said, going back to, I think there's an old guard in place in a lot of these boards.
Yeah.
This old way of doing things. They're not old, but there's old way of doing things, and I think right now people are frustrated. People are hopeless. That it's time to stand up and say no. We're gonna do things different. We're gonna try to spur things and get things done, and figure it out along the way. So, I think Angel kind of had a little squad at that time, right? And I'd like to see one county-wide of a group of people who are really thinking towards the future of this valley. And maybe that's why, too, like I've been so engaged and been proactive because my life's just starting. My daughter, I have a 7-year-old daughter. We're here for the long run, and I gotta make sure that in 10 years, things are still good.
So you think it should be a group of young, quote unquote?
I don't think young. I just think people that have historically not been involved. Who aren't part of this game, who aren't part of the mixer crowd, right? I think you see a lot of these elected officials. They think going to mixers is engaging.
Yeah.
When it's really just the same people over and over.
Yeah.
It really is. And so you get in this little bubble. I think many elected officials too, their lives are good. And so it shields them from some of the struggles, the real struggles in our valley and in our communities. People think I have it figured out, but my truck is a 2003. My door handle just broke. The check engine light's been on for a while. I'm afraid it's going to break down. I don't get good salary from the county. I struggle. My wife, our fiance, she gets minimum wage. And we have a 7-year-old daughter. We struggle. I think people think because I wear sometimes nice clothes and suits that I, don't, but I do. And I think, and if I struggle, there's so many more people out there who have it worse than me, who have a lot more things to struggle about. And so that keeps me grounded and understand that there are some real issues here.
And I mean, not to interrupt, but like going back to that, I grew up in low income housing in apartments in the ghetto, and going back to like the mixers, for a while, like I kind of hated them because like I feel like, dude, like you guys are doing all these events just for you. Like, what about us? Like, and like we need somebody that comes from that, like that's still living in a low income, housing that can,
and when you put it like, I think when you look at at a local level, you can put away these national politics and ideologies, right? Whether you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. When it comes down to your community, you can put those to the side and say what's best for our people, for our residents. And so, I'd love to see more people engaged. And so I say, when you say new wave of people, it's not young. It's just people that are not in the loop, who have not been part of this game. It's a game, and it goes back to this system. It's this whole system, I think, in this valley that's just so entrenched, and it's just part of the core that if you get people from within that circular radius, it's just going to end up the exact same way. And
but you know what? Like sometimes if I go out to, I don't know, like San Diego or LA area, and I talk to people, and I'm like, yeah, I know, well, my city is like this, we have this group of people that, and they're like, well, it's like that here too. And it's like, I mean, so like, even though we said like it only happens here in the valley, it's like it happens in probably like every small.
Oh yeah. Every community struggles, and every community. No, there's no perfect utopia, but I think the valley it's so small that we have we have so much potential. You know, I think that's the thing is, you know, you can get 20 people and you could change an election, right? Some of these elections have been decided by less than 10. Recently in Brawley High School, you had 3 people within 10 votes of each other.
Wow.
One person being on that board makes a huge difference. And so that's the thing is, but people are so frustrated and hopeless. Why bother? But no, it's we got to get you got to get the right candidates. You got to get people engaged. You got to get candidates who are willing to put themselves out there, who are going to be willing to take a risk, who are going to be willing, and sometimes that means risking your seat. I think a lot of times locally you see people not want to risk losing, might not want to risk losing their election. I didn't get on this board to get reelected. You know, that's what I've been threatened. Someone recently told someone I know, like, Gil's got to be careful. He's not going to get reelected next year or next time. That's fine. Yeah. Am I supposed to be scared?
Yeah.
Obviously, that person feels that's a threat to them because they're elected as well. And so them not being reelected is a threat to them. Me not being reelected, what's that mean? I can't be engaged in my community? What's that mean? It means I can't contribute as much as I'd like to be on the board. But
you were doing it before.
Yeah. So this threat of not being reelected, I think that's a big part is that our board, and I think going back to ego, we all want to be important. We all want to feel like when we walk in somewhere, and a trustee or a city council member is here, give it up.
Yeah.
And then you lose that. Because I've talked to people who are elected no longer or even appointed and no longer. And they do feel like, there's like a void. It's like, just it tosses aside, you know, and everyone, saying hi and doing this. Now that I'm not elected or appointed, they're gone. Yeah. And so I think there's a fear of that, but that goes back to ego. And I think there's a lot of ego going on. I think we're a small pond, so it's a lot easier to be a big fish.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who take advantage of that. And that's I don't need that. I probably had more influence when I had my podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like, there's a lot more people who are way more important or way more popular that are like doing something in their community, like all these young artists that are doing stuff in Calexico and now Central and Brawley. Like, there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of good things that get noticed, and the people that notice them are the people that the artist wants.
Yeah, if anything, being on an elected board limits you. Like, I'm limited now. Like, there's things going on in the county I wish I could point out and just expose, but I'm like, you know what? I want to stay in my focus needs to be on my schools right now. Yeah. But there's things that, like right now, I was talking to someone with summer out, the meetings have been empty, and I've been calling out other things outside the school, like, when I said the elected officials, and I always have to check myself. Now I gotta focus now. Before I could just, who's next, right? And now it's like, no, I have a responsibility, I have duties, and so yeah, I think a good example of is Angel. I think if he got elected, he would. I don't think he would have these. We wouldn't be having these art walks. We wouldn't be having this art community that's really grown.
Yeah.
But since he didn't get elected, he was able to focus on those things and look at. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes that's our role is not meant to be unelected, but to be in a different way of giving back to the community. So yeah, giving back to the community doesn't mean being elected. You can still but it does also. But there is a certain amount of power and authority going into an elected position. So you don't need to be on a board though to give back. And like I said, if I don't get elected in 3 years, okay. Yeah. I don't need this. I don't need this.
I think people should be more afraid of you not getting elected because of
exactly. Yeah, you're right. Would you want me to small town news back? Yeah, but yeah, I really don't need. I'm sure my family wouldn't mind me not being elected again. I'm sure my daughter and fiance would love to have me at my house. Would love to have me at home. When I'm at a school board meeting until 10 o'clock at night, or having to meet with a group of people, or having to hold an event, my family would love for me not to get elected again. And so, I don't, and they come first. So if I don't get elected, thank you. And then I trust the people who vote, the people who voted. I respect that. You went out and voted and felt like I wasn't the one for you. I can respect that.
Like when you do events like you did today, or like when you're out and about, what do people say or tell you? Like, do they?
No, it's cool. Most of the time, it's like, hey, what's up? And it's just conversation, But the coolest part has been going to the splash pad in the east side of Brawley at Alice Garou Park. So going back to the fact that we still talk about Brawley in terms of east side, west side, shows how little we've come. And it's just acknowledging them and going over there and giving out books. It was a bilingual book illustrated by Simone Silva, who is a local artist who's been recognized locally and nationally. And it's just cool. It's really just cool to be out there. I mean, I love interacting and meeting people and giving back. So, no, I guess in Brawley, it's cool just to build community, build engagement, and anything I can do to do that is awesome.
You were new to running for school board, and you were like the underdog, quote unquote, right? So say somebody,
4 years I could be the old guy. There could be a guy coming 4 years from now. There might be a kid saying, "Oh, Gil Rebel is part of this old system, game, corrupt, ineffective, irresponsible. He sold out."
But like going back to that, if somebody is planning to run and they feel like the underdog, you think that they could reach out to you and say like, hey,
Oh yeah, you can do it. Like I said, Matt, I go back to 5 years ago as a volunteer. I was a waiter and a volunteer. I was waiting on tables. I was volunteering for the county.
You were
5 years.
You were the AOC of.
Yeah, dude. Last year I was still waiting on tables. It wasn't until I got this new job in October and then I got elected in November that I stopped waiting on tables for the first time. So in October 2018, I was still waiting on tables. I was working full time and waiting on tables. So Monday through Friday, working for the county. Friday night, Saturday night, waiting on tables at Town Pump. If I can do it, you can do it. I shouldn't say you can do it, but there's a lot of people who struggle more. But if I can juggle those responsibilities, I'd be more than happy to help those that. Now that I have free time, I've freed up. I'd be more than happy to give some of that time away to helping people who want to get engaged, get involved, and give back.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think the biggest thing would be like when I think about it is the commitment of and maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm not like I'm gonna do it, do it, because right now I don't feel like I can give it.
It's tough. It really is. It's a big commitment. The thing is though, like I said, you don't have to. So that's what I think the problem becomes, is where people just don't. They just show up. Yeah. Vote, go home.
Uh-huh. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, if I'm gonna do this, because I'm gonna do it right. Like I'm gonna give 100%. I'm gonna invest time and because I mean I've seen you get these agendas and you have to read some of the things you might not even know what they are. So you got to do some research and ask questions.
And so some of the things require you talking to people, not just you can read it and not understand it, but then there's a component of the human aspect of hearing another part, another side. It is. And if you want to do it right, it's going to take that time. It's going to take that, so this year, I put out an open letter. There's a Brawley Elementary released several teachers, new teachers before they hit tenure. And there's some talks in the community. And I put out an open letter after an article in the newspaper, and I got hit bad, man. There are some things you don't talk about regarding education that apparently I talked about. Oh. But you know what came from that was I met with after that, I was meeting with teachers, administrators. No joke. I'd have coffee at 9 at Starbucks. come back here at 10:30 to meet with another teacher. I go back to Starbucks at 12:30 and meet with another teacher. I met with probably about 10 to 15 teachers within 2 weeks. And so it built that relationship. And from there, we've had a good relationship. But yeah, it takes that just going back to communicating and interacting and talking and understanding, because we could all sit all day just going back and forth on Facebook, text messages, emails. But then when you sit down, I mean, so much more can be accomplished within a 30-minute phone sit down than with a day-long Facebook fight.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that, I mean, you're probably one of the few elected officials like in the whole valley that's willing to like be on a podcast or, you know, do an interview and openly talk about, you know, the issues and not your ego, you know?
Yeah. I guess I wish more electeds would, but man, like I said, going back to, they might risk being reelected. They might risk saying something that's taken out of, I'm sure you could go back and find something you could take out of context for me. And that's not right. Plain and simple, that's not right. And I'd hope, and that's why and part of why I see social media as a tool, in that I can promote what I'm doing, like make it look fun. It's not always fun, you know. I go home sometimes tired, beat, you know, stressed out over, is the decision I made the right one? Because that's tough too. It's tough to get change or something to implement that you want. But then it's tougher to sit back and kind of reevaluate. Was it the right thing to do, right? So I could fight tooth and nail to get this one thing done, and that's just a battle in itself. And then there's another battle is after it's implemented. What if it was wrong? What if it got us 3 steps back? And that's something I worry about. But you got to do it. You got to figure out if something's not working right now, do something to address it, and whether it's right or not, at least you addressed it. And then you can move forward and learn from it. So
yeah, and going back to, you know, being, I guess, transparent, or being, you know, part of the community. You know, I see like a lot of elected officials that are always there when it comes to like taking that picture. And
it got me off. We're gonna see it in 2020. It's election. All these elected officials are all of a sudden gonna be on Facebook. Or all of a sudden gonna, you know, create a page and elect so-and-so. And then election day comes and they're gonna give out a post the next day saying, thank you for voting for me, for winning, or they're losing. And then that's it. Whether they won or lost, that's it. I'd rather have someone, if you're gonna run, I'd rather have you, if you don't have a Facebook presence or a social media presence right now, just stay off it. Yeah. I respect you more if you just completely just say no. I'd probably more than likely vote for you if you just said no, I don't have it, I'm not gonna bother. Then you not having it, all of a sudden I have it, and then once the election day comes, you forget about it. That's what I hate. I hate that. I can't stand that. And you see that a lot. You saw it with the IID especially. And and I like the IID. I supported some of them. I respect them, and that's what it comes down to. I'm gonna criticize someone. That doesn't mean I don't respect or respect you, or it's not a personal attack. It's just the way it is what it is. Yeah. And so I see that with the IID. They all ran on this social media unified campaign, blah blah blah, and maybe and now they're disappeared. You know, and you know what? It's funny because I've been thinking about this, especially the whole Juanita thing. I started like, maybe I feel guilty now, and maybe a bit wrong in hindsight. But she was kind of like my own, or our own, right? She was young. She was outspoken. She was about the community. And I look back, like, man, did I take out someone who I could have been, you know, held up to higher standard? We could have worked with each other. We could, you know, going back to those self-reflection on the ego of not, I doubt myself all the time. And that's one thing I've been thinking about lately is that, right, so there's some things I didn't agree with her on completely. I felt, I think in retrospect, she probably proved me right in a way that, where's she now? right?
Yeah.
You can work. Going back to just because you're not on an elected seat doesn't mean you still can't be engaged in the. If she'd been continued to be engaged and involved, I would have publicly been like, I'm sorry, I was completely wrong.
Yeah, because even before being in the IAD, from the things that on a resume, she did a lot of community.
Oh yeah, there's some questions about that though that I had, but no, but I look back now and I really do think, hey, I felt young, outspoken, Latina,
but I mean,
not part of the establishment.
When you go back, there were some things that were like really questionable.
Yeah, no one's perfect. Yeah. I'm not. You can pick. So, but that's one that I've been out of all the candidates, out of all the people I went after. That's the one that I've really questioned. I look back now and I question if I was on the right side or not.
Yeah,
and that's tough to say. And those people might get mad, like what? But
maybe she should reach out. And
I'd hear her out. Because we all, at the end of the day, we all want to hold each other to a higher standard, right? And whether someone might not be perfect, we can all do better. There's going to be someone who's going to show me how to do things, and I can learn from that. There's going to be someone show me, right? And so, you set the standard for someone, and I believe when the bar's set, people rise up to it. You shouldn't lower the standard for people. I think when the standard's high, people do rise up to it. And we could have going back. The one that got away, right? Out of context again, right? But no, that's something out of all the. I think too, because I'm struggling so hard right now to find people to run.
Yeah.
People who aren't part of this game. People, so, yeah, that's the one thing that's one that I was not why I was looking back recently. I think a lot of stuff going on with the IAD. That's one that I really questioned. But it is what it is. Can't change anything about it now. But I didn't expect to talk about Juanita Salas on this. Great. I'm still obsessed, apparently.
No shit, huh? That's something it's crazy.
Right? But no, but that goes back to me being real, keeping it real.
Yeah.
Keeping it, 100,
Exactly. Having been here and talking about that is like...
Yeah, some people might not believe it. If you told someone, oh, hey, if you went to Maritza tomorrow, I'm like, hey, Maritza, Gil said he might have been wrong about Juanita. She's right. Yeah, right.
Crack up.
So, speaking of someone who doesn't talk to me, but no,
But yeah, going back, I can't think of anybody that's still active on social media. I think the only one that I can think of is Camilo from Calexico. He's because he's like, him and his wife are really community involved. But other than that, I can't think of.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Speaking on social media doesn't mean you're engaged or involved, but it helps. It shows that little effort that you're trying. Especially, like I said, going back to if you're engaging your campaign, continue it.
The other person I can think of is Jesse Contreras.
Okay.
He's had this basketball team for Calexico's youth for like 10 years now, and it's all on his time. He does. We do. There's a fee, like a small fee, and it's mainly for uniforms or paying fees for refs. But it's all of this is on his time, and nobody really knows that he does it. He just does it, and I admire that. And he's one of the only ones that I've seen that is still like community involved.
It's all about community. It's all about the people, and that takes effort. That takes time. But those are things that are free, and those are things that if we're elected, we should be doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in social media too, there is a fine line, because I know at one time someone commented like, all you do is take pictures and put them on social media, and so there's a line, right, of being very engaged in social media and then not having to rely on it or make it seem as if that's all you do. So, but it's still.
That's why you have your Gil Rebollar board Facebook page, right?
to keep informed, keep engaged, and it's another means. I would have Facebook. Well, you can always call. And going back to, I love meeting and talking to people. That's one way. So yeah, I like to see more engagement from our officials. Get out of their bubbles. That's what it is. I think a lot of people are in their bubbles, and it doesn't benefit the community. It might benefit them, shields them from, but it doesn't benefit the community. Yeah. And that's who we work for.
Not and the whole community, not just
their community. Their mixer crowd. Yeah. And oh great, I'm not gonna be invited to any mixers. Oh, okay, boo-hoo. Oh well. You call like I do call like I see it, man. And I know one time I said something about an elected official on Facebook, and they called me and like, oh, I never light you up like that. And I was like, I wish you would. Go ahead. If I messed up, light me up. I'm a big boy. Like, what are you talking? Like, I'm an adult. Yeah. Ooh, if you wouldn't be the first time I've been criticized on Facebook. Oh wow, prove me wrong. Yeah. That's the one thing. If someone criticizes me, then I'll do my best to reach out to them or even prove them wrong. I'm a competitor. I love to compete. Like going back to, I want the best schools. I want the best schools in the Valley. Yeah. Like that's no joke. That's my one goal to have. I want to see these country schools like Magnolia empty. I want to see people wanting to come to Brawley. I want to see a person move in like, oh, what'd you move to Brawley for? Oh, the schools. And I want to see and if you're elected on an elected board and you don't want the best city, the best public utility district, the best county, then what are you doing there? Yeah. If you don't want the best of what you represent, then what are you doing? I want the mediocre. I want the kind of the same. I kind of want a little bit. No, you want the best. Yeah. I don't think that's and yet some people might think, oh, he's crazy. Oh, he's looking at. I apologize for aiming high. I apologize for for wanting the best. My bad. Next, I'll change it. Let me change. I want the status quo. Does that sound better? Do you want to go for the best or the status quo, or worse? Yeah. Right. And when you aim for the best, even if you don't reach that mark, you still aimed high. You still might land among the stars. No, I think a great example, like the popsicle thing. So the popsicle thing was, I knew during the summer there's a summer slump. You always hear about that, and so I'm like, how do we address that? How do we, So I brought up a summer reading program with the school, but by the time I brought up school year is ending, I was like, I can't implement it. So I was like, I still want to do something, and so I just ordered 100. I went online and ordered 100 books, 100 of the Gathering of the Sun books, and then they came in, had 100 of these boxes in my house. Like, all right, I got yeah, okay, because I was like, that's the most expensive thing out of like some of the ideas I had of what to do with them, and so I was like, if I order the books, I have to. Like, that's the most expensive thing, so I'll have to. Yeah. There's no excuse. So I got them. They were at my house, and a buddy of mine came over, and we were like, what should we do with them? I'm like, how about tomorrow we go to the park, splash pad, and we barbecue, and we give out the books. And I'm like, let's barbecue. Let's just throw a barbecue. I'll go to Costco. I'll get hot dogs. I'll get buns. I'll get the condiments, napkins. I'll get trays. I'll put propane. So that day, I cleaned out my grill. I was ready to put it in the back of my truck and just go down to the park. It was all hot too. It was like 105. Yeah. And we drove around the park, and there was a party. And I was like, you know what? They're having a party. I don't want them to think like, one, this is not my neighborhood in a way. I'm from the west side of Brawley, born and raised, right, and there's some, right, going back to the east side west side thing though, still, even though we're all from Brawley and we're all, I think we all understand that sense of community, I still don't want people to think, oh, who's this guy think he is? Yeah. He gets elected, he could just come down and be this little hero or whatever. So that I don't want to intrude. And so it's like, hot dogs, no. And plus, like, it's kind of hot. That's kind of a lot of work. We look back. I was like, still want to give the books out, but I want an incentive. So how about just popsicles? let's just do popsicles. So went down to Walmart, bought popsicles, got an ice chest, filled it with ice, put the popsicles in there, and then went down there. It was a success. So I think that goes to show we were aiming for a full-on barbecue in the park, in the heat. And then we kind of realized, you know what? Let's popsicles.
Yeah.
And so we aimed high, and we didn't reach it, but we got somewhere right there in the middle, which was better than where we were at, which is no books, no popsicles.
Yeah, exactly.
But eventually, I'd like to say, I think in the winter we're gonna I want to have another one and make it a barbecue, make it expand on it, and so. But that goes back to aiming high and trying to fulfill, reach your potential and fulfill it, and so
and
be great.
Yeah, exactly. Because no other elected officials doing anything close to similar.
Right, and why not? It was $40 or like $20 for like 40 popsicles. I think it was even less, to be honest with you. I think I bought 60 popsicles for like $20. Minimal cost, big impact.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And it's just sometimes it just means sitting there figuring it out. I have a very good friend who helps me with all this stuff, and that's part of how this came about, who holds me to a higher standard, who says, hey, all we talk about is just ideas. We talk about policy. We talk about our schools. We talk about how do we engage, how do we improve our community. And so that helps, having a little network of people who allow me to focus, we aren't talking about the cheese man. We aren't talking about, don't get me wrong, we do.
Yeah.
We still gossip. But for the most part, really we understand we understand that we want to see our community thrive. And so that helps a lot in having people I can turn to hear me out, call me out, criticize me, and how we can move forward. So
yeah, and as long as the criticism is to
not even if it's valid, and not even if criticism, I don't mind. There's some criticisms I heard people are saying. I was on Facebook all the time, like I'm not, but okay, an elected official, we put ourselves in this position to get criticized, whether it's valid or not, whether it's personal or not, I've had people, one time a crazy lady was like talking about my daughter, Penelope. It was crazy talk and like saying really mean things, trying to rile me up. And, but I was like, you know what? I put myself in this position. Obviously I don't want any harm or anything done to my daughter. But I reached out to them. They didn't want to meet up. That's fine. But we're adults. Like I said, I didn't choose to be a board member. I wasn't forced. I did choose. I chose. I wasn't forced. And so that means taking arrows. That means being backstabbed. That means being, scrutinized. That means being, painted in a bad light sometimes. That means taking credit, getting accolades as well, but that comes with the good and bad. And so I'm very well aware of that, and I just wish more people would be as well. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, hopefully, more people get...
Yeah, and I do these events too to help show other people. You could be doing this. If I saw another school board or city council doing something in El Centro, I see today they're having the haircut-a-thon in El Centro.
I don't know.
Let's do something like that in Burley. I'm not like, oh, what? Oh, what? No, let's do something. I like that. I was, I was talking to Vince from Ivy Press. He's like, oh, what do you think of the other cities doing schools? So, I don't know. He framed it kind of weird. The Ivy Press, I don't think they like me. But I don't know why. But I love seeing that. If there, this school supply drive really came from an idea from our assembly member, Eduardo Garcia. He had a school supply drive about 2 years ago in El Centro, and that stuck with me. Like, oh, hey. And so, I see someone else doing something. I'm not going to be like, they beat me to it. Oh, why didn't I think of that? No, it's like, oh.
Yeah, right. and you're always like at the art walks, and like I see you like supporting not only Brawley stuff, like it's. And that's how I feel like, I'm always like shouting out like, the downtown, Central guys, if it's Calvin Olivas, his podcast, or if it's the Alta with with Marco. To me, it's like, fuck yeah, like the more the merrier, and support each other, and we're all in it together. At the end of the day.
Yeah, if someone from El Centro had a school supply jar, I'd probably donate supplies there too. I had people from El Centro come today. So yeah, no, it's enough of this whole bitter little rivalry, high school, stuff. That's kid stuff, you know. We're adults. We're part of the valley. We all want everyone to thrive, so we got to work together, and we got to work together, And that working together doesn't mean we're always going to get along. We're going to have times where, going back to relationships, good and bad, but if we're all on the same page, the same goal, we'll get through it, and that's where growth comes.
Yeah. Anything else that you would like to?
Do we do an hour?
It's already an hour and like 10.
Oh yeah, no man. I think there's some really good things happening in Brawley. New superintendent, new migrant ed directors, a new principal, a lot of new teachers. We have the opportunity to really make steps towards bettering our schools. We have a really good opportunity right now. I think things happen for a reason. I don't think it's a coincidence that I ran at the last minute and we'd be getting all these new changes. No one. It's not like I came in and everyone said, "I'm retiring. I'm out." No.
Yeah.
That's already, whether I was here or not, we're gonna have all these retirees. All right. So don't think I scared anyone away. But I think it's all happened for a reason. I think going back to, like I said, it's no coincidence. All these changes at the school while I'm coming on board. It's exciting. I think you're really going to see some good things come out of Brawley, and I just think it's a good time for the valley as well. I think a lot of, not good times per se if you look at our numbers, but I think in people feeling empowered, feeling emboldened. I mean, whether you agree with some of the vandalism that's been going on and some of the political, the art, the Rosie. Para mi casa, Rosa, what was it? Mas vino, or even the IAD thing. That's what happens when elected officials are irresponsible and effective. You get people who do not feel listened to, that they're going to take any measures to make you listen. And so if you're not proactively listening to them right now, they're gonna make you listen, and I don't think we want that. So
there's a big movement of local. I guess most of them are like artists, creators that are kind of tired of being on
and they're renegades, and the renegades are the ones that really help change. If you look historically, renegades and rebels are the ones that change things around. It's not the people who are doing the status quo. It's the people who are going to think outside the box, who are willing to go outside the box, that help change and shift things. They might not make the policy, but they're the ones who did something to get that policy in place.
Yeah. And
so, that's why the art community, I'm fully supportive. Not so they won't attack me, no, because I really respect and appreciate their art. It's art is a freedom of expression. It's someone bearing it all out there to you. It's someone, putting everything on canvas, putting everything in spoken word and their voice and whatever their medium. They're revealing themselves to you in all their glory, and I respect that 100%.
Yeah,
and I'll do
sometimes it's not even that lucrative. Like, it's just
it's not. It's not. People think I want to be an artist when I grow up. No, you're not going to make money. You're not. You have to. It's not lucrative, but it's admirable. It's admirable, and so like the art walk, I support any art walk because that's where freedom is. Freedom of expression. Just it's a really cool thing. When, like I said, going back to Angel's thing, the art walk, out of those thousands of people that are there, you might get 5 or 6 leaders, and that can change around a community. 5 or 6 leaders, a squad, can change a city around. If you get 5 or 6 people that really want the best for a city, you can change things around completely. So So whenever he has something like that, art walk or any arts, I support.
Yeah. Next weekend, shout out to Young Manor. He's gonna have a.
Oh, next Friday, huh?
Yeah.
I was thinking of checking that out.
Yeah. I went and got his tape. You saw that?
I saw that.
That's pretty. I haven't bought a tape like in 20 years, and I was like, you know what? I need to get that tape. I don't have a tape player, but
yeah, right. But hey, no, it's nice to see that's and you know what, like the art, they're having it downtown, where if they weren't there in downtown, nothing would be in downtown. Yeah. So the city should be welcoming that. The city should be doing anything they can to accommodate them.
Yeah, support them.
To ignore them, to not acknowledge them is disrespectful. Yeah. It's it goes to show you how much out of the loop and in their bubble they are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Plain and simple. Mm-hmm. I think it just shows you how out of the loop they are. And Central City Council, there's people that I respect. Cheryl Walker helped mentor me when I was starting out in the county, but there comes a point where, hey, maybe it's time to pass the torch.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully, out of that group or out of the people that support them, there's somebody that's going to step up and run and, change things.
And even if they don't win, to get a conversation going, of be the voice they want to be heard. I mean, that's why I ran, because I looked at the list and there was no parents there or people who are currently parents. And I thought, I can either sit here and be like, oh, there's not a parent there who's going to represent me. Or I could be, how about I be that parent?
Yeah.
And I did. And I went, And so, I guess run for something. Because even if you don't think like Mandy said, you can't get anything done, at least you're that voice that you want to be represented. You're the voice of the people like you.
Yeah.
And that's all sometimes it takes. That's all you can do sometimes, but at least you give them a chance. And, so yeah, I hope people can run. I hope people will run. If they want any advice, any help, I'd be more than happy to. And I have people also behind me who can also help. That's not like, money wise. It means just organizing. Mm-hmm. I had a guy who helped my friend, going back to my friend who we talk. He helped me with all this stuff. He helped me where to put the signs, how ordering, materials. What, walking, what areas, what neighborhood, scheduling. So those things that don't cost money, but are essential to any campaign election. So yeah, if people are, even if you don't want to run, but you want to get engaged, reach out to me. Mm-hmm. I can connect you with mixers or even just people in the community of who to speak with, how to expand your network, and start giving back. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's about it, man. I appreciate you coming over here to Brawley. I think we had a good talk. I said anytime you want me to come on, if you want to have multiple people on, I'd love to come back. But yeah, I am tired. I'm ready to literally do nothing. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna shower and I'm gonna stay in my underwear all day. Like, that's no joke.
TMI. But yeah, I mean, you're tired because if y'all didn't know, Gil had a school supply drive today. You've been doing the books
popsicles, popsicles and pages.
And not only that, but I mean, with your job, it's a lot of.
We didn't even talk about air quality.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother episode. And yeah, we're trying. We don't have the air quality we want. And one thing I want to share with people is everyone at the air district is a valley resident. I think sometimes we have the tendency to dehumanize people or see people as as an agency rather than a human. We see everyone at the air district. No. We have people from Heber, Calexico, Central, Brawley, Imperial, Hopeville. We're all residents. We all breathe in this air. We all want the best. We're all trying to do our part.
Yeah.
And we have been being bold. And AB 617 has empowered us. I think if you look back a year ago, no one knew what the Air Pollution Control District was. And now people are talking. We're in the newspaper. People are talking about it. We want awareness. People are like, oh, this negative article or this. We welcome it. Brings attention. Mm-hmm. We're not afraid of being in the spotlight, because our issues need to be in the spotlight. Our issues need to be known by not just us, but people around us throughout the state, throughout the nation.
And you know, there's been more talk about like on the LA Times or whatnot. You know, there's been it's become you know, like a topic of speaking not only here but in, you know, bigger cities.
And so we welcome that because that just brings more eyes to it. We want attention. We've been demanding attention for how long? And so if we're finally getting it, we need to take advantage of it because that's going to bring attention, brings awareness, which brings resources, which brings, you know, solutions. And so you know, part of it is what I got brought on there to do, to bring attention. I think we have, whether it's good or bad, the fact is it's attention, and it starts sparking conversation, it starts sparking dialogue, and that's where you know, solutions come from. So at the whole other episode we could talk about that.
For sure.
But with AB 617, and we're building relationships with Mexicali. And going back to the tourism thing that I've been trying to promote, that ties in directly with it. I was just at a cross-border tourism forum in San Diego and talking about San Diego and Tijuana and what they're doing in regards to Mexico with Tijuana and San Diego, how mass transportation has helped cut down on emissions in that border area. So how do we, you know, obviously San Diego is different with the tourism, but we have tourism potential for tourism here. We talked about that a little while, you know, earlier this morning, but that's a whole other episode that we could talk about at a future date.
All right, guys, thank you, Gil.
Thank you, man.
You know, we've been at it for an hour and so like 20 minutes.
By fast. Not like 20 minutes.
We talked a lot about a lot of things. But I guess the main focus, you know, we want people to run, people to get involved.
People, not even run. If you get involved and you want to run, great. But if you just want to get involved and help out, I could always use help out an event. I could always use help out gathering, organizing people. That's a great way to start as well.
So like I said, get involved. If you want to run, you know, reach out to Gil. Even though he's young, he has a lot of experience. He can help you a lot. Thank you guys for listening. Support local artists, support local businesses, and see you guys in the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.